Well, hi again, everybody. DJNTV, and this is our presenter profile. We're going to be talking to some of the presenters that are going to be at the DJNTV show. I'm Bill Herman. I'm going to be the Master of Ceremonies for that conference. And, of course, that conference is in coordination with Photo Booth Expo, which is happening February 24th, 25th, and 26th at the South Point Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm very excited to be speaking to a presenter in not only the photo booth side of the conference, but the DJ side of the conference as well. His name is Ross Akselrad?
Close. Ross Akselrad.
Well, okay. Well, yeah. Okay then. Well, that's kind of what I thought it was, but I still had a different letter. I apologize.
No worries.
So, Ross, tell me a little bit about yourself. First of all, I understand you live in Philadelphia. You've got three, at least, companies that I know about: Dash of Class Entertainment, Partners in Sound, and Pulse Entertainment.
Yeah.
So my assumption is you were in the DJ business before you were in the photo booth business. Is that right?
That is correct. I actually started as a DJ when I was 11 years old.
Oh my gosh, you got to tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, it was, I just kind of fell into it. Actually, my camp counselor was a DJ, and I was the only person in the bunk that didn't give him any crap, really. So he asked me to help him out on one camp overnighter, and I was like, sure, fine, sounds good. Records, 45s, 12-inch, and I did it, and it seemed pretty easy. He gave me $20. I was like, all right, this is great. 5 days later, he's like, you know what?
DJing right away, or was he just humping gear?
Yeah, I was using all his stuff, and he just put me behind there and said, this is how you do it, and I'm going to go out and entertain. And I'm like, okay. And 5 days later, he said, listen, I really appreciated the help. It was great. How about you do that for me every weekend? And I said, sure. Found out real quick that I got the same $20 for a 6-hour wedding that I got for a 2-hour camp overnighter party. But I was 11, so $20 was $20.
Right.
So
there was no. Did you have a point at 11 that you went, wait a minute, or was it just, hey, I'm just happy to be here?
Exactly. And then I worked with him for about 5 years, and he taught me everything I knew about DJing and entertaining. I was actually emceeing for him my last year that I was with him. And then
at
unfortunately,
16?
What was it? Yeah, 15.
Okay, so you're
16. I was doing,
I was giving the mic a shot.
Yeah, no, I was emceeing bar mitzvahs, and I was the front man. I had dancers and a DJ behind me, and I was nice that I looked 19, 20, even though I was 16. So it ended up working itself out. Unfortunately, we kind of had a difference of opinion when it came to me wanting to go to my school dances like proms, and he wanted me to work. So we kind of parted ways in 1994. My parents said, are you serious about this? Do you want to do this for a while? And I said, sure. They lent me my first money for equipment. It was about $7,000. I drove up to Connecticut to buy all my equipment in person and drove it all back. And that's when Pulse Entertainment was born in 1994, July. And within a year, I needed another guy because I just started doing a bunch of freebies, any advertising I could. And within a year, I needed another guy. Within 3 years, needed 2 more guys, and it just kind of spiraled from there.
So now, somewhere along there, you went from being a DJ and an MC to buying your own gear, and then you're starting to build. But I mean, did you, at that time, are you just building because you're having fun, or because you? I mean, at what point were you figuring out that that the business end of it was what was going to sustain you, or was it just kind of taken off on its own?
You know what? It was kind of a little bit of everything. The business started taking off, and I was like, wow, you know what? I might actually be able to do this. And I went to college. My parents were like, you have to go to college, got to get a degree. When I got out of school, it was weird because when I was in school, I was the only one with money on the weekend, to order pizza, whatever, because DJing was great. I hired my college roommate. He was one of my MCs. It was great. When I got out of college, I got the day job and then DJ'd on the weekends. And after about 8 months, I was just so unhappy with the day job. My passion was for the DJ business, and I just said, you know what? I'm young enough. Let's go for it. And I haven't looked back. It's been 20 some odd years since I made that decision, and I grew from a one-man show. Now we have roughly 40 to 60 people on a given weekend that we use. I have tons of MCs, DJs, dancers, photo booth people, production people, roadies. I never would have thought 25 years ago that I'd be right here, but I'm really happy that I am.
So I guess what I'm trying to find out, because that's amazing. I mean, at what point though did you? I mean, you have to go at some point from I'm a DJ and having a ball, with my college roommate, my friends, and having a great time, and I'm making money. But if you're going to build something, you've got to have a good handle on on business itself, right? Or at least be unafraid of it when it shows up. I mean, did you find out and learn the business end of it the hard way, or did you come out of college or that day job with a basic knowledge and then build from there?
Actually, I found college to be not great to teach me how to run my business. Most of the professors, I had already been running my business for 3 years at that point. So I was already doing direct mail and advertising. They were just teaching me the same things that I was already doing. My university gave A+, so I ended up getting a 4.3 in my major because I already knew everything. I just didn't know what it was called. They put a term to it. I was just doing it. And so I guess you could say I learned the hard way, because I learned by experience. I just tried a bunch of stuff. I tried, magazines and newspapers, and I was actually the first DJ in the Philadelphia area to be on the not.com. And it was great. I got 40 leads a month. I booked like 35 of them. No one knew about it except me. And then within like 3 years, I was down to 1 lead a month, and because everybody and their mother was on it. So I've always tried to take risks, and I think the hard way also boosted my ego a little bit. I was like, oh, I know this stuff. I know how to do this stuff. And honestly, then I made my fair share of mistakes. I made a big mistake at one point and had to rebound immensely from it. So
talk about that a little bit. I mean, because I think a lot of the guys that are in this business, they end up learning the hard way. And I don't know that it's the worst way to learn. I mean, at some point you have to look at the part of business that you don't like. I mean, I liked the marketing end of it. I was able to take advantage of my creative side. I kept my creative side going from not only being in front of people, but now I get to do it with marketing and advertising and things like that. But at some point, I was smacked around by expenses, right? Or big choices when it came to big dollars I spent towards something that I wasn't really prepared to pay back. Can you talk a little bit about what that big mistake was, and if in fact it drew you stronger and helped you to be able to move forward in a more confident way? Actually,
it was the biggest mistake turned out to be one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. And it came about mainly because of my ego. I realize that now. But I was looking at my competition around my area, and I'm like, I've been in business longer than you. I have more experience than you, but you guys are booking all the big parties. You guys are getting all the big work. And I'm like, why can't I do that? And so I guess the ego got to me, and I ended up buying another DJ company, a very well-known person, spent $400,000 on it. Within a year, I found out, unfortunately, though, that a lot of the financial information and a lot of the stuff that I was given ahead of time was not correct. And it ended up almost costing me my home. My marriage was strained. My finances, I was dead broke. I was days away from food stamps, probably. And I had went from the top to the bottom in a matter of 9 months.
Wow.
And meanwhile, I am working 7 days a week and paying all my employees. No one knew anything was going on. Everybody else was getting paid. I wasn't. I bled my savings dry. My credit cards were out the wazoo. And it got to a point where we finally just, luckily I found an attorney who helped me fix all the issues. And I was able to at least get out from some of the major issues because I guess technically was frauded. So I ended up getting out of that, and quite honestly been trying to get myself back on my feet for the last 12 years since then. And everything's on the uptick and everything's going great now. I have a great team. Everything's fantastic. But that experience really changed me as a business person. It really molded me into, I think, who I am today. I think I'm a better business person for it. I tend to weigh things a lot more now. I tend to not just impulsively do anything. That totally brought me down to earth from an ego standpoint. So I'm a lot more humble. I'm grateful for what I have now that, when you're days away from food stamps to going to being comfortable again, you become very grateful for what you have. And what's weird is, meanwhile, throughout this whole experience, my business was still going up and everything was still trending upwards. And so I was still learning from that and expanding my business, adding photo booths, adding production style stuff, all sorts of fun stuff that I never would have thought of 30 years ago when I started this thing.
Well, and the 3 companies you have, are they all separate companies? Are they all pretty much under one umbrella? Because it looks like, if you went through something like that, and it's not uncommon that someone has to go through something as awful as that one, especially if they want to stay in any business. There's always some sort of a punch in the neck at some point, right?
Yeah.
So from what we can see, that you own 3 companies. So what made you go, something, I know one of them was an awful idea, but I'm going to start another one?
Well, it's not that actually all 3 are active and thriving. And what it was is about 3 years ago, I met up with some friends out of New York, and they founded Partners in Sound Productions. They're in Staten Island. And I was telling them how I wanted to grow, break through the ceiling, change it up a little bit because maybe I was getting stagnant with what I was doing. Couldn't break through that same threshold, gross total wise the last couple years. And they're like, listen, what if you try X, Y, and Z? You know what? How about you just, why don't you come together with us and how about you represent our brand too? Well, because they wanted to franchise and expand and get their brand out there. And I was like, what? You guys are my friends. Let's go. Let's do it. I kept my original name, Pulse Entertainment, but that is now focused on bar and bat mitzvahs and kid events because that's what it's really well known for in this Philadelphia area.
Okay.
And then I added Dash of Class Platinum Entertainment, which is now our wedding division. And I added Partners in Sound Productions, which is our corporate and school division. So each one has a separate website and a focus so that when a client goes to that site, they see what they're looking for. If they're not looking for that, there's a link. If you're looking for weddings, go here. If you're looking for mitzvahs, go here. And it's a real great thing because now I'm more specialized to the client. And that's how it kind of came about. So technically, yes, I own 3 company names, but it's one big company, although I do have certain people that specialize in certain things.
I got that.
And on top of that, I forgot to mention, on top of that, I own a photography and video studio, full photography, full video studio. So a lot of our clients can get everything under one roof.
I was going to say, why did you go there after being entertainment and being DJ and sound and everything? Why did you jump over to the side of visual arts?
Well, in about 1999, I was in this about 5 years, and I was like, there's got to be something else I can do to increase my bottom line, really? And I thought about it. I had some vendor friends, photographers, video people. And they're like, oh, you should offer like photography and video. I'll be your production house. You offer it. I'll do it. I was like, oh, sounds good. I'm like, and they're like, I'll give you $500, you know, per event. Okay. If I book 100 events, that's immense for a year. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. I did that for 2 years with somebody else where they were my back end studio. And then I said, this doesn't have my stamp on it. This doesn't have what I want to offer my clients. It has what they want to offer the clients. They were still shooting with film, and I already saw that digital was going to blow up. And HD cameras, yeah, no, they didn't have that. They still had the general standard depth cameras. And I'm like, this is not where I want to be. So I went out and invested, took on a partner for photography and video. And we ran it together for 2-3 years. He then decided he wanted to get a teaching position. So I ended up taking everything over. And ever since then, it's just been me hiring the right people. I have a fantastic video team. And the head of my video team, he pretty much runs it, just fills me in. And my photography team is fantastic. On the mitzvah side and the wedding side, I have 2 different people kind of handling things there. And then, of course, we do all the things in between, the corporate stuff and all that stuff. So
with 3 thriving companies that are all on the up, well, 4 actually, thriving companies that are all on the uptick, you must have either a lot of luck, or and I'm sure that I know for a fact there's luck involved with everything we do, but the thing I think that scares most people from going from a single operation to an operation with other employees and an operation is the idea that they would, number one, have to hire people, train or train people. Sometimes you don't have to. You usually have to train them, or at least around your brand. So and then giving up the responsibility, we're giving up the worry that they're not going to show up the way you need them to show up, because as single operators, we end up kind of living in, this is my thing, man. I'm in control. I know what I can handle. I know what I can do. Now I'm going to give this to somebody else. You seem to have done that with some grace and some style. And if you had 1 or 2 tips for a young person who's sitting in a good reputation, doing a lot of work, and thinks, I'd like to be bigger, maybe work less out in front of the audience and more behind the scenes. Is there a way to do it without going all in? Is there a way? And what do they need to know? And that's a big question, I know, but let's just start with, okay, I need to hire someone.
Right. Well, it's hiring the right person. Yeah. Honestly.
Well, that's the big fear. So the big question is, that's what stops them. Oh, I got to hire the right person. Well, I could never do that, so I'm just not going to do it.
And it's actually investing in that person. Whoever you decide to hire, it's investing in that person. It's sitting down with them and literally going through everything that you do from start to finish at a party. I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. And then taking them out and having them be your apprentice for, oftentimes, at least with me, it's anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on what I am asking them to do. And we train. They'll watch me for a while. Then I will give them the microphone and let them do it with me. And so we kind of co-MC. Then eventually I let them do it, and I'm just there to back them up in case. And then at some point, you just got to let them go. You have to say, listen, I've done all the training. I've told them the importance of the brand. I've given them all the tools. It's time to sink or swim. And sometimes they go gangbusters right out the gate. Other times it's a putter, and maybe, you got to bring them back, do some more training. Hey, you're not kind of representing it the way I would have liked. Or, I always encourage people, though, to have their own personalities. Just because I do something my way doesn't mean that they have to do it the exact same way. It just has to be consistent with the brand. Overall, if I'm talking to a client and I am saying, listen, you're going to get a high quality DJ, MC, whatever, they have to be that person. Whether it's their personality or they're stealing all my, tidbits on the mic or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. But I want them to overall represent the brand the right way. And that just comes with time, honestly. It's investing in them, because if you invest in them and give them all the tools, they're more likely to succeed with them.
So when you began, I mean, when like the first guy you ever took on, did you know what you were doing when it came to kind of teaching that kid?
Not at all. Actually, I lucked out. Here's where the luck comes in for me. When I opened up my company, I was the MC and my brother was the DJ. So when for almost 3 years, he was my DJ on almost every party. And by the time I let him go on his own, he already knew all my shtick. He had it down. He actually said the same stuff I said. It was like looking into a mirror, pretty much, just 3 years younger. And it was great. So I didn't really have to do much with him. But the first guy I hired outside of my brother, he was a friend of mine. He said, listen, DJing sounds fun. I'd like to try that. I said, okay, great. Because he was a friend, I trusted him more than just somebody off the street, probably. But once again, I did the training. He was my DJ for almost a year. I let him grab the mic every now and then. I quizzed him on song choice. I said, listen, we got a full dance floor packed with all these people dancing to X. What are we going to play next? And, would pepper him and try to get him ready. And that's kind of how it went. So I kind of fell into it by accident, but that's how it ended up going. I started from the beginning, just training everybody. And then I started having training workshops as I grew, where now I'm training like a group of 15. And that's how it kind of grows, is you just have set times. And now I have other people training people because I just can't be everywhere at once. And so now I have my roadies training roadies. I have my photo booth people training photo booth people. And then I just kind of pop in and oversee and make sure that they're up to the standards that I'd like. And, does it always go perfectly? No. But if you don't have the standards, you can't enforce the standards.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, when it sounds like when you started, you kind of, without having any systems and procedures in place,
nope,
you were kind of figuring out as you went. I mean, if someone came back to you and you could go back in time and someone said to you, okay, you're thinking about doing this, would you have put together systems and procedures because he said you should, or would you have done it the same way?
That's a good question, because the experience in me says I would have done what he said, because he would have been absolutely right. But the 16-year-old kid in me who just opened up a company,
right,
would probably be like, what does he know? I'm going to do it my way, So, but it's funny, because I give advice to a lot of the people who work for me just with their other jobs, and they're all in school, they're working to be something else sometimes, and I always say, listen, take a step back and think about what you really want to do, think about how you can do it, and if I can give you any piece of advice, it's this or this, and pertaining to what they're going through at the time, because all you can do is give advice. And I wish somebody gave me advice, because at the time I didn't know anybody that owned a DJ company. I ended up subcontracting for a couple other people, but they weren't teaching me how to run a DJ company. They were giving me gigs to get experience. They weren't saying, here's what you do, here's the blueprint to being successful, and I wish I would have had that back then.
What made you think, or what made you begin to want to share any of the knowledge and the experience that you've put together in your systems and procedures to be able to build something? What makes you now want to give any of that stuff away outside of your own company?
Well, you could always say it's my ego, because we already know that got me into trouble way back.
Without our egos, man, we're nothing.
Exactly.
Our best friend and our worst enemy.
It's funny, because about 15 years ago, I went to the DJ Convention in Atlantic City, and I debuted a brand new game, and I actually won Game of the Year. Oh. And then the next year I came back with another game, and I won Game of the Year. And then I came back 2 years later and won Game of the Year. And I'm like, this is pretty cool, And I actually got people who called me from Seattle. Oh, I used your game. It was great. And I had people call me from Chicago. Oh, your game was great. I used it. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool. And I got out of it for a while. I just decided to focus on my businesses because I needed to, because that right around the end of that is when I bought the other company and had to focus on other stuff.
Sure.
But the last couple of years, I've actually been talking with my staff about doing training videos. Since I have a video team here, we're starting to build training videos for my staff, starting to build other stuff. I'm like, listen, there's so much that other people can learn. Why not? And over the summer, I met key people. I actually met Bob from the Photo Booth Convention, and we were just chit-chatting, and he's like, yeah, you know a lot of this stuff. He's like, I'm like, yeah, I kind of wanted to give my 2 cents to people before. And he's like, you should come. And I said, okay, let's go. And so that's where we are. I think I have a lot that I could teach people. I think that I have a lot I can offer people. I've made so many mistakes that I've learned from them. And if I can help a couple people, great. If they just take one nugget out of what I'm saying, fantastic. There's no reason. I've always felt that people work better together and not apart. Sometimes competition, especially in the Philly area, can be pretty cutthroat. But there's a handful of people who own other DJ companies who I'm really good friends with, who we talk all the time. We shoot ideas off each other. And I found that that's a lot more productive than, talking about this person or talking about that person. And so I just decided, a long time ago, I was never going to talk bad about anybody. But now I kind of want to share it and share my knowledge and my systems, I guess, and see what people can do with it. And hopefully it helps people.
That sounds great. And now, I don't think I got the name of your photo company. What was that? What's the
name? That's under 2 brands as well.
Okay.
My wedding photography and video is Limelight and Taylor's.
Limelight and Taylor's.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we put you in the limelight and tailor everything to you for your wedding.
Ah.
Yeah. And then the mitzvah side of things is Serendipity Studios.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Because once again, brides aren't looking to see bar and bat mitzvah stuff. Brides are looking to see wedding stuff, and vice versa.
No, it makes perfect sense. You want to show up. You might get a gig if somebody sees that you're doing bar mitzvahs because they understand the business, but really people don't understand anything about what we're doing. They just understand what they think they know.
Exactly.
So now you're going to be, it looks like your speech for the DJ side of it is going to be Monday at 6:00 at the DJNTV show. And of course that's in coordination with Photo Booth Expo. And you're going to speak at Photo Booth Expo the next day in the morning?
Correct.
Is it going to be the same conversation, just 2 different audiences?
No, it's actually going to be 2 different topics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have the 2 different topics we're going to talk about. The first one is adding a photo booth or other photo novelty to your already existing DJ company.
So now how to do it, or why you should, or both?
A little bit all of it. Okay. I'm gonna tell them why I think they should do it. I'm gonna tell them if they decide to do it, here are the things that you should start trying to do. These are the things that you got to do, and try to give them all the keys to being successful by adding that photo booth or photo novelty to their pre-existing DJ company. Because one of the best decisions I ever made was adding something else to my DJ company, because it just brings another stream of income, and it could be life-changing in depending on how people do it in their area and so on and so forth.
And then the next day for the photo booth people, are you going another level around, or? Yeah,
we're going totally different. We're doing how to run a multi-op photo booth business.
Wow.
Since we have 4 photo booths, and then I also do green screen photo favors, regular photo favors. So at any given time, we can have upwards of about 10 photo novelties happening at one time. So the second day, we're going to be talking about training the staff and to run that multi-op, because now you can't be at everyone. Right. And when you can't be at everyone, You have to have everybody trained up. They need to know all the troubleshooting, when a printer doesn't work, when the internet's not working, when this isn't working. You need to know all that stuff so that they can be successful with their events. And then, of course, all the little ins and outs and little nuggets that I got going on for running a multi-op photo booth business.
Well, I've met a lot of people over my years, and like you, you went to college, I didn't. I was doing this at age 12 myself, so everything I learned by, being tossed into the deep end of a pool without a life preserver as well, and made a lot of horrible mistakes. But with every mistake learned, with every mistake, leapt further than I thought I could, just because I stayed there and I fought myself back. I didn't want to quit. And your whole story sounds like a lot of, I didn't want to quit. I'm not going to give this up. And that is I think, as good or better, I think a better education than any college degree that anybody can get their hands on, especially since if you really don't give up, if you really learn from every mistake you make, and you're going to continue to make a lot of mistakes. And even with my years of this, and I'm sure with your own, you can probably tell me, 5 mistakes you made this week,
Definitely.
Right, exactly. So that, I think if that's the only lesson or tip that I give any of those young men and women who want to do this, that's the first one I want to say. Dive in and make mistakes, and then take responsibility for the mistake you made. Be okay with the fact that you screwed up, and then, okay, so now what did I learn from that so I don't screw up next time, because the next time it'll just be bigger, and normally it'll even eclipse the mistake because you learned so good. You learned so well. I'm sorry. It's been, I don't know that we've ever met. And if we have, it was in passing at a conference, but I'm really excited that I've met you. I'm really excited to see you in February at the conference. Once again, that's the Photo Booth Expo and the DJNTV DJ show all working together. February 24th, 25th, and 26th. It's going to be at the South Point Hotel. I understand too, if you go to DJNTV show /tickets, I believe is where you can get tickets. And there's even a code for you to get the best price going right now. And you can get that from me, or you can call out to John. I think Ross might even have the information. If you call him, he'll tell you his special code.
Absolutely.
Special price too. So we really want you to be a part of it. I also know there's a lot of DJs that are already going to the Photo Booth Expo that might not even know we're doing a DJ track that I want to be sure they all know as well. And this is something that, John's been very committed to for years. He and I started our first conference together back here in Minnesota, back around the time that you were building your business. And everything that he's ever done, he's asked me to be a part of, and thank goodness I've been available to be able to help him, because he's just one of those guys, that is out there to do it for all different reasons, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. So once again, Ross Akselrad, Dash of Class Entertainment, Partners in Sound, Pulse Entertainment, Wedding Limelight and Tailored Photography, Serendipity Studios, and more to come, I'm sure. Well, he continues to take over Philadelphia. And
that's the plan.
Wow. You're a very impressive guy. I'm looking forward to seeing you and hearing you speak. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Before I let you go, is there anything more you want to share?
I would just shout out to everybody who's coming to the conventions, because I look forward to meeting everybody. I will even talk to as many people as I can outside of my actual seminars. I'm there to meet people. I found that the last couple of years I've met more interesting people who teach me just as much as I teach them. And if you go into the convention saying, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to learn from people, you're going to walk away with something that you can use to hopefully change your business for the better. And to me, I was just at a convention in August, and I've already implemented 6 things that I learned there, and I'm already seeing dividends from it. And that's me 30 years in the business. And if you stop learning, you're not going to get ahead. So you keep learning, keep meeting people, keep getting ideas, and you go from there. And I can't wait to meet everybody, talk to everybody, and of course, teach a little thing as well.
Yeah, that's going to be really great. In fact, I'm going to be out in Philly doing an event just before DJ Expo. So maybe we'll hook up, or
absolutely,
maybe, I'll see you at DJ Expo this year as well.
I'll be there too.
Outstanding. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person. This has been a real pleasure. And thank you again for putting yourself out there for all of us and sharing all the great nuggets of inspiration you gave us just in this 30 minutes of interview. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We'll see you next time on our presenter spotlight for the DJNTV show in Las Vegas, coming up on the 24th, 25th, and 26th.